It was just another Monday morning at Riverbend Medical Center. The air buzzed with urgency, phones rang nonstop, and doctors moved briskly between cases. No one expected anything unusual, but then, through the automatic glass doors, walked a German Shepherd, and everything stopped instantly. He wasn't just any dog. Draped carefully across his back, motionless and bloodied, was a little girl, no older than 7. Her arms dangled lifelessly, her face pale, streaked with dirt and blood. Conversations halted, footsteps froze. Even the clatter of a dropped clipboard echoed too loud. All eyes locked on the unbelievable sight approaching the front desk. The dog didn't bark. He walked with purpose, steady, focused, like he had somewhere very specific to be. His eyes, sharp and urgent, scanned the stunned staff as if demanding help. No leash, no owner, just a silent, desperate plea wrapped in fur and loyalty. For a moment, no one moved. A receptionist's pen hovered in midair. One doctor lowered his coffee, eyes wide with disbelief. The German Shepherd stood still, every muscle tense, as though he was guarding something precious. The girl's tiny chest barely moved, each breath shallow and fragile. A nurse named Julia stepped forward hesitantly, unsure whether to help or call security. As she approached, the dog let out a low, warning growl, not of aggression, but of fear. His body remained between the girl and everyone else, protective yet controlled, silently pleading for understanding without ever backing down. Julia knelt slowly, hands raised in peace. "It's okay," she whispered softly. "I just want to help." The dog stared into her eyes, then, after a heartbeat, took a single step back. Just enough. Julia gently reached for the girl. She was ice cold. Something was terribly wrong. Julia cradled the girl in her arms and shouted, "We've got a pediatric emergency!" Instantly, the ER erupted into motion. Stretchers rolled in, monitors beeped to life, and doctors rushed to the trauma bay. The German Shepherd followed closely behind, his eyes never leaving the child, tail low, steps heavy with worry. As they reached the trauma room, a security guard tried to block the dog, but hesitated. The dog didn't resist, didn't growl. He simply stood at the door, whining softly as they carried the girl inside. Staff exchanged glances. Something unspoken passed between them. This dog wasn't just a bystander. He was part of her story. Inside, the girl was laid on the gurney. Her heart rate was erratic, breathing dangerously shallow. Monitors blinked warnings. "We're losing her," muttered Dr. Lin. Nurses swarmed with oxygen, IVs, vitals, fighting to save her life. Still, the question echoed in everyone's mind. Who was she? Outside the trauma room, the German Shepherd paced anxiously, nails tapping on the tile floor. Every time someone walked in or out, he tried to follow, letting out quiet, frustrated whines. Nurses exchanged puzzled looks. There was something unnerving and heartbreaking about how desperate he was to stay near her. One nurse crouched beside him and gently checked his collar. No tag, no microchip, just a frayed leather band worn smooth by time. No name, no clue. The mystery deepened. Who was this dog, and how did he know where to bring the girl? Nothing made sense, not yet. Hospital security pulled up surveillance footage. The cameras showed the dog emerging from the woods behind the hospital, the girl draped across his back. He didn't hesitate, didn't wander. He walked straight to the ER doors like he knew what he was doing. Purpose was in every step. By late afternoon, authorities arrived at the hospital. After reviewing the CCTV footage, they organized a search team. Led by park rangers and a K-9 unit, they entered the dense forest behind the building, following the exact trail the dog had taken. Strangely, the German Shepherd, now nicknamed Hero, began to growl gently at the trees. It was as if he knew they were close. The team moved deeper into the woods, branches snapping underfoot. Nearly an hour in, someone spotted something. A weathered blue tarp stretched between two trees, barely visible. Underneath lay a makeshift camp, torn food wrappers, a burned-out fire, and a cracked phone with a shattered screen. Blood-stained cloth hung from a branch, but what froze everyone was the small shoe lying in the dirt. It matched the one on the girl's foot. One ranger whispered, "She was here, and she wasn't alone." Fear and urgency rippled through the team. Something terrible had happened in those woods. Back at the hospital, the girl lay unconscious in the ICU. Her condition was stable but fragile. Monitors tracked her heartbeat, nurses checked vitals, and through it all, the German Shepherd never moved from her side. A blanket was laid for him, and staff brought him water, but he only cared about her breathing. Just before dawn, the silence broke. The girl let out a soft gasp, eyelids fluttering open. Her gaze, blurry at first, focused slowly, then locked on the dog beside her. Her lips trembled. "Scout," she whispered. The shepherd's ears perked. He stood, pressed his nose to her hand, and let out a soft whine. Relief, love, recognition. Later that morning, a child psychologist gently asked her what had happened. Her voice was weak but steady. "He said he was my uncle," she began. "At first he was nice, then he changed." She described the fear, the hiding, the pain, and how Scout never left her side. He'd saved her. The girl's injuries matched her story: bruises, fractured ribs, and signs of prolonged exposure. Doctors were clear. If she had arrived even 30 minutes later, they wouldn't have been able to save her. Scout hadn't just stumbled into the hospital. He had made a life-saving decision. He had navigated miles of forest and found help. With the girl's description, authorities launched a wider manhunt. Her account led investigators to a nearby town. Within hours, a man matching her story was arrested trying to board a bus, disheveled, defensive, and with the girl's missing belongings stuffed into his backpack. Under pressure, his lies fell apart. The truth was undeniable, and justice was already on its way. Back at the hospital, Scout remained by her side. Staff who had watched him carry her in now smiled through tears. News crews began to arrive, headlines splashing the story everywhere. "K9 Hero Saves Abducted Girl," one read. But Scout didn't care for headlines. He cared only for her, the girl he never gave up on. With her real family still untraceable, child services stepped in. The girl was placed into emergency foster care. But she made one thing clear: Scout comes with me. Officials hesitated. There were rules, procedures, forms. But after witnessing what this dog had done, no one had the heart to separate them. Scout wasn't just a pet, he was her protector. In their new foster home, Scout adjusted quickly. He followed her from room to room, slept curled at her feet, and waited outside the bathroom door. At every meal, every bedtime, he stayed close. His presence gave her strength. She had lost so much, but she hadn't lost him, and that made all the difference. A week later, the hospital held a small ceremony to honor him. Doctors, nurses, even patients gathered. A red ribbon was placed around Scout's neck as the room filled with applause. Cameras flashed, but Scout didn't flinch. He only wagged his tail when the girl hugged him tight, like he understood the world was finally safe again. Scout was later nominated for the National K9 Bravery Award. Though he wasn't a trained rescue dog, his instincts and love had surpassed any training. His actions didn't just save a life, they reminded everyone of something deeper: loyalty, courage, and a bond that defies explanation. The story of Scout spread far and wide. News channels replayed the footage of him walking through hospital doors, carrying the wounded girl like a soldier returning from battle. But amid all the attention, Scout remained unchanged, quiet, gentle, and always close to the girl who called him her best friend. Long after the headlines faded, Scout's legacy lived on. He wasn't just a hero in a single moment. He became a symbol of hope, a silent guardian who proved that love, when pure and unshakable, can move mountains, or even find a hospital in the dark.